Lalita ma'am, we are on live Facebook and I think
Wonderful.
it's about the time. Can we get started, ma'am?
Wonderful. Yes, sir. Yes. Good evening to all dear Rockwoodiers, respected chairman, our esteemed guests, and all the lovely children present here today. It's a wonderful, bright day, and we have this webinar on the importance of interdisciplinary learning for children and also the research skills, both of which are very relevant in today's context, since we have the government of India bringing in the new education policy. And today we move ahead with this wonderful seminar. We have with us two esteemed guests who will be our panelists. We also have our chairman and director with us. Let me introduce the guests. We have Dr. Afroz Alam, Professor, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Hyderabad. He is also the director of Center for Study of Social Exclusion and Inclusion Policy. He is a PhD from Aligarh Muslim University. He has authored more than 30 research papers and 4 books. He is a columnist and regularly writes his opinions. Sir? Okay, sir. Sure. I'll do that.
We can switch off one of the device. The audio.
Yes, sir. Yes. 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 Am I audible now?
Yes. Great now, ma'am.
Loud and clear.
Sorry about the mix-up. Yes. So we have with us, I don't know if I have been a little, not very clear. So let me just begin with introducing Dr. Afroz Alam. He's a professor and head of Department of Political Science at Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Hyderabad. And he's a director of Center for Study of Social Exclusion and Inclusion Policy at the same university. He's a PhD from Aligarh Muslim University, and he has authored more than 30 research papers and 4 books. He's a columnist and regularly writes opinion pieces in the newspapers of repute like Deccan Chronicle, The Tribune, New Indian Express, Times of India, The Statesman, Asian Age, and so on. Previously, he served at the Aligarh Muslim University and at the KIIT Law School and National Law University, Odisha. We welcome you, sir, and we are very happy and privileged to have you as one of the speakers in our webinar today. We also have with us Ms. Shweta Anmalwar, who is a PhD researcher and a 5G Innovative Center, University of Surrey, London, UK. She is currently working at the Research and Development Center for the Development of Advanced Computing. Ms. Shweta does research in telecommunications engineering and computer networking. Most recent publication is the survey of synthetic traffic generators. Her major work is on software-defined networking. What I found very interesting about Ms. Shweta when I looked into the LinkedIn profile is someone has given her a testimony at one of the organizations where she previously worked, and that speaks volumes about her personality. And it says that it's rare that one comes across a standout talent like Shweta. This has been given by her mentor when she was an intern in MTech. She was appreciated for her dedication and flexibility to work on different technologies. She was particularly lauded for her approach to put the research and development efforts into the new thing, and her openness to new technologies and leadership, which is very natural to her. No matter how tense the situation is, she handles it very nicely with a smile. She's also adept at multitasking. It's our privilege to welcome you, Ms. Shweta, and we really look forward to a wonderful session by you. We also have with us our chairman, Mr. Rama Naidu, a wonderful speaker, a man who is a visionary and who has an intention of taking not only Rockwords International, but working in a platform which puts us on a pedestal in the education system of India and the world. We have with us our director, a tech whiz, Mr. Subramaniam, who is presently providing us all the technical support. We welcome you all, sirs and ma'am. And we are today going to talk about interdisciplinary teaching. Now, what is interdisciplinary teaching and learning? It's a set of methods used to teach across curricular disciplines, bringing together separate disciplines around a common theme, issues, and problems. We also have how to inculcate research skill among students, which is essential for the students of today, because we all know research is a step-by-step process, and it is important that our children know how to define a task, what exactly must be researched, how to discover the keywords, how to use the appropriate tools, how to teach about source, hierarchy, and evaluation, how to take notes and compile, and how to set up this lifelong skill of researching in various fields. We welcome you all. I hand over the stage to, we begin with the research. Sir, we begin with the research skill.
Ma'am, we'll start with Afroz sir, ma'am. Then we'll go to Shweta, then I'll talk.
We will, yes. We will begin with the interdisciplinary skill, how to inculcate this. And when I initially started, I told you about this, that both of these have assumed a lot of importance and is going to assume a lot of importance with the new education policy which the government has brought out. Over to you, Dr. Afroz Alam.
Very good evening to all of you. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. You're loud and clear.
Thank you.
Very well, sir. Very well.
Yeah. And the founding chairperson, Rama Naidu ji, the executive director of Subramaniam sir, the principal of the school, Lalita Naidu ma'am, and my fellow panelist, Sweta. It is certainly an opportunity uh, provided by the Rockwood's International School, and I'm overwhelmed. And interacting with young minds is is an opportunity to grow more and more. So I personally think it is mutually advantageous to me to be in the company of those who shape young minds, and the one who's actually the learners, because they are the future India. They are the one who is going to define us, who we are, and where do we want to go. So that is most important, and therefore I hardly miss a chance when there is an opportunity to interact with those people. Coming back to the topic, because these days the learning is not learning begin with it begin with an integrated knowledge. There was no specificity of a particular discipline coming up. So times back, the knowledge was a unified whole. Later, with professional and expert understanding, a particular specific understanding, we divided the and we cannot simply say that one knowledge is relevant and another one is not. So each whatever we gain in the process of learning is very, very relevant, and therefore we cannot ignore the one aspect of learning while doing another aspect. So when we start the journey, that there are lots of concepts coming up in the new age. Then one is there must be a learning, and learning should be interdisciplinary learning. Then there was a notion called uh, cross-disciplinary learning, and then there was a whole term called transdisciplinary learning. And then we have reached to a stage where we are saying that let there be an integrated learning, because knowledge is integrated. So again, back to the square one, where we are saying that let's focus more and more on knowledge, and which is integrated with all the knowledge. So the whole purpose of this exercise of today's talk is understanding the relevance of interdisciplinary learning. And what is that? So we let us focus on the curriculum, and the curriculum is all about that. Curriculum should be designed in a way that should include space for learning beyond subject. It's not about that. If I should not be having that is a that if I am doing mathematics, I shall be exclusively focusing on mathematics. So we should be able to go beyond the boundaries of the subject, and that beyond the boundaries of the subject. Why so? Because the children and the young people can make connections between different areas of learning, and different areas of learning in through interdisciplinary studies. And what is that learning? It should be based upon groupings of experiences and the outcomes. It's not solely based upon doing something that you're teaching one subject, you started teaching another subject. So it's all about it. Let's integrate the experiential learning with the outcome, with the purpose in mind, that what are we going to achieve, and that is going to be defined from within and from across the curriculum areas, not solely one who we specializes at one point of time. So there is that it provides an opportunity to reinvent, uh, challenging, and making the learning whole enjoyable. So this is what the whole purpose is: how to build the young mind, how to shape up so that the knowledge is not being sacrificed merely this for the sake of gaining domain expertise knowledge in one particular area. So we just heard that our principal, that Lalita ma'am, focusing on that, what is interdisciplinary learning. Of course, yes, I agree with her, and that I personally say that interdisciplinary learning is a planned approach. It's not that's nowadays that it is a planned approach of learning which uses the links across the different subjects or disciplines to enhance learning. The purpose is that when a student is learning something, that learning is not vertical alone, but it should be a horizontal learning where he should be having a deeper experiences of it. Because why is it so? Because that it promotes the development and application of what has been taught to the student and what he has learned about it. So the idea is that let us look at that how to get an opportunity for developing and deepening the learning. And for example, that there may be that's the for a student that be able to explore an issue, and when he's having an issue in his mind, he must be having the deeper taste for exploring it deeply. And not only exploring it, but also that exploration is subject to the problem solving method. He should be able to not only explore, if during the explorations if he finds certain issues and problems, he should be able to find solution to the problems. So the idea is the finding solution to the issues he has in his mind, and then after completing his final that is project, developing his own theorem and knowledge base, so that what has been already been learned, having a deeper experience of it, then applying to those knowledge based on his skills through the practical problems and developing a solution for it, and then developing his own framework of life and thought. And that is what the whole purpose in mind means, that what is the characteristic of a interdisciplinary learning is, if in my mind, that an individual one of that's the can develop one particular issues and projects in a very holistic context. And it must be around that the interdisciplinary, when we are targeting that interdisciplinary educations or learning, it must be a purpose oriented in mind. There must be if there is no meaning and purpose involved into a particular issue or learning, then there is no relevance of that study at all. So that well defined clear purposes must be that is defined and planned in advance. And second one is that when we are planning for interdisciplinary learning, we also that's plan upon experiential that is learning, that's bringing the experiences of the domain experts and integrating it into our that is curriculum. And that happen, that is only then we can have a curriculum which is outcome based. So we know that each student is having a different ability, and they are gifted with the different talents. So when we are providing that student a different context, different issues, different test of the different disciplines, then we will be able to understand what that child is actually made for. Hmm. Where his interest lies in. So knowledge is to provoke a student to identify what he likes the most, and in the course of the time he should be able to choose his passion. For example, somewhere at certain point of time, for example, the founder chairman is here, that Rama Naidu Saab is there. He may be having certain thing in his mind at that earlier stage of his career, but suddenly at certain point of time he thought of that I have to contribute certain things meaningfully in the pursuit of imparting knowledge. So he may have planned some that is his study. So we that early identification of the child where his interest lies in is just to save his time to explore after the education. So if the interdisciplinary learning is integrated from the child education itself, then he will be able to save time to pursue his interest. So similarly, that interdisciplinary that approach, it ensures progression in terms of skill and in the terms of knowledge and understanding of the problems he may be able to pursue. Similarly, it's an opportunity that interdisciplinary approach provides an opportunity to the student, so that he should be able to mix his learning with the other aspects. He may not be a stand-alone person and living in an isolated island where he is not aware of any other context except his own domain knowledge. So therefore, multiple approaches are involved into interdisciplinary learning. And the first approach is, if I say that it is this learning is a plan to develop awareness and understanding of the connections and differences across the subject or curriculum areas. So if I am able to develop if I am able to develop connections of the mathematics with the social sciences, or if I'm able to develop law with forensic, because there is now that no knowledge is standalone. You have seen that there is a BSc in law, there is a BA in law, there is a BCom in law. So idea is now the knowledge is getting integrated. Forensic law is coming up. So the mixing the law with the understanding of the forensic. So standalone is not there. So if I'm able to understand the connections and the differences across the discipline, it will serve and enhance the knowledge. Similarly, the knowledge is being developed, or the ways of working, or the attributes, or capabilities, and the skill, including higher order. That is, if another skill will grow automatically and naturally, and that is called thinking skills. Started thinking, imagining, then the purpose of the education is served. That you have made them think around issues, find the solutions, imagine new ways in with the issue, with the concerns which he is facing. So therefore, that interdisciplinary thing is very, very important. This is what I want to say. This first approach is all about revisiting a concept or a skill from different perspectives, not one perspective. So if I'm able to look at one particular problem from different perspectives, it means I'm able to test the different solution mechanism available with us to find what we actually want to explore. And therefore, these are very important. There is another one is that let us, the second approach is to explore a theme or an issue, meet a challenge, solve a problem, or complete the entire project. So idea is, it's all about that making the whole real and relevant learning. That if I at the school level, if we are able to promote, for example, if I am able to promote that ICT skill, that the information and communication skills, every student is learning all the computer techniques, the information technology and everything. But if he knows the history, if he knows the art, if he knows that, he will be able to develop his skill in a far deeper manner. He will be experimenting the entire history through digital media. He will be able to develop. So if we are depriving that is a computer science student with the art, with the culture, with the history, with the politics, with the science, with the mathematics, it means we are depriving an individual from his different capabilities to use the achievements of the different learning mechanisms. So this is why, that is why do we do that? Similarly, that's there is another one, how that is interdisciplinary learning be planned, because planning is very important. Because when you're having a school, we are having a student, we are having teachers, curriculum, everything. So we cannot think of at the earliest stage, we create a condition by experimenting something, so that a student is able to develop his own skills. And that it means that learning can be tailored, it can be planned, it can be manufactured. It is not always natural, which I personally feel that. So that are we able to tailor learning to meet the learner's need? So, and for that, if we are having that is the learner's need in mind, because we cannot go with the interdisciplinary learning which may not be of interest to the student interest. So the idea is we should be able to identify that what he actually needs, and that need based tailoring the interdisciplinary program is very, very important. So that is is all about that. To do this, the teacher, the faculty who is involved, they must combine the curriculum that is within a theme, that the content base, that and that content base that clearly shows that where the interest of the student lies, because faculty and teacher who is interacting with the student is know that who or which student is may be interested in what. So the idea is, let's identify that. If we are able to identify that, means we are able to look very, very closely at the progressive development of the child over the time, in terms of knowledge, in terms of his attributes, in terms of his capabilities. This is an skills, and then where his interest lies upon. These things that are very, very important, and therefore finding it at the earliest stage would be beneficial for the student. Therefore, it must involve the learners fully. That you cannot have a curriculum based on your own thinking. My whole purpose is to say that let us involve the learners fully in planning, identifying their own next steps. What that is, if I'm teaching that, whether the student or the taught is involved into the entire planning of the curriculum, and therefore then building those in a very, very planned manner. And therefore, for that, you have to have certain objectives in mind, you have to have certain purpose in mind, you have to have the needs and interest of the learners in mind. So those things are very important, means identifying a clear purpose for using one or the other ways to interdisciplinary learning, then involving learners in planning by building on their own existing knowledge and skill, what the knowledge and skill a student is having. Based on that, we can have a capsule programs. Then that is at the same time ensuring that the learners and staff are clear about the knowledge and skills. The person who is in the classroom dealing with the student, if that person is not clear in her mind that what to teach and what not to teach, then it will be very, very, very difficult to identify the clear learning and intention, and therefore the
Sir, your voice is breaking.
for an effective disciplinary learning curriculum. So am I have I taken lots of time?
No, your
Am I,
voice is breaking.
Your voice is breaking, and yes, sir, you are
Next
slightly exceeding your time. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
No.
So the idea is we must have certain framework in mind that our issues, the curriculum, our theme must be relevant, interesting, and it must be serving the needs of the student. And therefore, these days you cannot survive without having the knowledge base of the different discipline and subjects along with your subject expert domain, so that you shall not be standing alone in vacuum, but you shall be standing in a context which are of different types. So with this, I thank you once again to principal and the founding chairperson director. Thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Afroz Alam, sir. Lots of takeaways from your session, sir. We definitely cannot compartmentalize learning into different subjects. We need to bring them all seamlessly together wherever possible. And for that, there needs to be a planned approach. We need to develop the thinking skills. And of course, we also need to equip our faculty for delivering this in the school, in the classes, appropriately. Yes. Now without further delay, I would hand over to Ms. Shweta Anmalwar, and over to you, ma'am. And we really look forward to your session too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving this opportunity. I think I'm audible to all.
Yes.
Yes,
very well.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just going to be 10-15 minutes, very crisp session, and and I'm really humbled by the kind of introduction you gave me, especially the Lalita Naidu ma'am. And thank you, Naidu sir, for giving me this opportunity to talk. And it's always pleasure to interact with kids and inculcate. So I'll share my slides now. I'll share
Yes.
my screen. These are some other slides. Yeah. Are they visible, these slides?
No.
Not yet.
No?
Not yet.
Okay,
Not
okay,
yet.
fine. I'll just,
Share screen. You go to share screen, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what I did. Okay. One participant can share at a time.
When you click on share screen, there will be a pop-up window. You
Yeah.
can, on the pop-up window, you need to select the
fine,
first option. Yeah.
Okay.
And then,
Because I'm looking for a desktop and then I can share.
yeah, yes.
Okay, let me see. So show all windows. Yeah, I have got so many windows open because my research is going on.
I think you can select the first one. And
Yeah, I
can
did
select the
that.
desktop.
I'll share in a moment.
all right, it's coming up now.
Yes, ma'am. It has come.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'll just
I request one more thing, ma'am.
Yeah.
Can you see something called more on Zoom panel?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you go there and can you disable participants annotation?
Annotations.
Yeah, children
Yeah, I
like
did
to do that.
Yeah, I know that.
They're very good with graphics, ma'am.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. It's just a last minute thing. Naidu says things are so dynamic. Okay, so
you
to
can
just,
clean it once. You can clean it once. You can just click annotate and clean once, clear all the drawings.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, and then you can.
Even I love drawings, kids, I love drawing. It's just that I have grown up now and so many things I cannot do. Hide, share computer sound.
You can see on the Zoom panel something called annotate.
Yes.
Yeah, when you click on that, I think some panel you can see on the top of your screen.
Select, draw, stamp, erase.
Yeah,
clear,
and then
there
all drawings.
Clear.
Yeah, I got that.
Yes.
Clear all drawings.
Wonderful. Yeah, now you're all set.
Okay. I'll go to session now. Just 2 minutes. Yeah. So hi all, this is Shweta and thanks a lot. And to my co-speaker, it was wonderful talk and some of the things are overlapping already. And the time when, it's just nice to share what I feel now, So to just move ahead with your topic, I'm just going to talk about it just very short and I have kept it, it's just one example. So research, when you talk about research is not something very, oh my God, you have to go in a cave and sit and do something. It's everything in your mind. When you do your household chores, when you play, when you watch TV, when you do something, research is with you all the time. And when I just want some replies from our kids, look at the things in your room and whichever thing which is your favorite, not favorite, the immediate thing other than your mobile which you can see, is it possible that you put that in chat window? Anything, like maybe a glass, maybe a comb, the way I have a spoon here, and anything, just type that in chat window. I don't know how to see the chat windows now.
You can see chat window. You can go to chat box.
Okay, so I just want some replies. Am I getting any replies?
Yeah. I'll just try.
Yeah, you just can name one or two to me.
There's a glass.
There is a pencil, there is a glass, there is a car toy.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Let's go ahead with the glass now. So, when you think about a glass, okay, so what is a glass? So glass is some material which was invented when people fired sand and other things, and it was just invented like that, and it was just a material like glass, right? It was not even called glass. It was what it was, no one knew. So they just thought, oh, what is it? Let us see. We can we melt it? Can we do something about it? And they made a glass. So everything, just look around in your room, like the way I can see the bottle here. So everything is the innovation. It's a new invention. Like we have got everything in the nature. It's already there. Every problem with solution is always with the problem. When problem is born, when problem arises, solution is right there. You just have to find it. Okay. So in nature there was, so if I just wanted to take, I was in a hurry, I prepared these slides. I just wanted to take this example of a spoon. Aluminum was already there in nature. Human beings were trying to eat with hands. Maybe it's very hot or something. So someone thought, oh, there might be something with which I can eat. So someone made spoon out of wood. Some people made out of aluminum. So aluminum was already available. There was a problem and something was already available. So you took aluminum, you hammered it and shaped it into a spoon. Maybe earlier this part might not be there. The round part, only this one. Then someone thought, oh, it's very difficult to eat with this rod. Then let me make it round. So isn't it an invention? It's an invention. Whatever you can see in your room right now, this mobile you are seeing, the Zoom application, this is also kind of an invention. So whatever you see, it's an invention. So it's not a big thing. So when we talk about inculcating, so as just now the professor spoke about the perspective. So some people, like, if by chance the door got locked, so what I think, I got locked inside. Someone outside may think that she locked herself inside. Okay. So it's just the way you think. It's just the perspective you think. Okay. And so another thing is like that. Okay. I think children are going to love this. Okay. So it can be looked as cause and effect, So, apples have been falling for the centuries, we don't even know when apple trees were and all these things were there. But, they are even older than human beings. I think 40 billion years or something. Trees were the first here and then human beings came on the earth. So if you think about the cause and effect. So when Newton was reading, I think he went to his hometown, and this guy is a Newton, Sir Isaac Newton. He was reading about the books, and suddenly, since I'm in Europe right now, I'm in UK here. So here apple trees are a lot, in these countries. Maybe it's very, maybe in India, coconut can also fall. So when the apple fall, Newton thought that why it fall down only? Why it not went up to the skies? Why it fall down? There must be something, right? So if something has happened, that is the effect which is happening, which apple is falling down. Okay. So he tried to find out the cause. Someone said that, everyone loves earth so much that everyone comes down to earth. It was not like that when you think critically about it. So then he discovered what is the force, what is the F is equal to ma, like, the gravitational force is equal to mass into acceleration. So when you put it into the equations, then the science, it seems complicated, but these are so easy things in your day-to-day life. I don't know, there are how many laws in the physics, in chemistry, we don't know how many equations. There are so many unsolved equations in the, by Ramanujan, the great mathematician who was here in the London. And there are so many equations which are still unsolved. There are so many mysteries to be solved in nature. So if we think critically, so research is not something burdensome or something. It's so fun, to be very honest. So if I just take an example, I have this rose quartz with me. So this is just another example, and this proves Einstein's law, and it's so easy. If I put it on my palm, so it has got certain mass, and I'm putting pressure on this side, right? This side, that's why it is going, right? If I put like this, right? So my force is more than its mass, right? So it's Einstein's second law, okay? So, these things are so easy. You just have to, even if you think about cause and effect, that is also research. And you don't know how many new theories you will come up with, and the way children's mind is. And it's so fantastic because it's not, it doesn't have any prejudice. It doesn't have any biases against about something, because we as grown-up adults, we have like certain sets, because the kind of upbringing you go through, kind of life experiences, you think this well is my world. Okay, there is no world, you just become a frog of that well. But in reality, there are so many things that they are yet to be discovered. So I just, in my next slides, I just like to just point out some of the things to the parents as well, and to the children as well. So how you inculcate, first of all, imagination is extremely important, extremely important. And I know the kind of imaginations kids have, and I really envy all of them. I think I have lost some of it now. And whatever you can think in your mind can be created in reality. It may take some time, but whatever you can imagine, whatever you can think of, so if I for the parents, right? So if you have some resource, in a way, I can say, like, I don't have brush here, but if it is a toothbrush, how can I use that toothbrush in how many ways? We have taught all children, even I was also taught, like, okay, I can just only brush with it. But I have, sometimes even I clean my jewelry with it. Sometimes I have seen people dyeing their hairs with that brush. So in how many ways you can use a resource, right? Nature is abundant, everything is there. So how you use brush is just an example. Yeah, so someone, it's just, lame example, someone can use this pen for writing, but someone can use it for scratching as well. Okay. So these small things, this is how you can think about the things. Another thing is that when parents and children have talked together, they have to sit as equals, just, oh, I understand about these things, you don't understand about these things. No, this kind of attitude doesn't work. Maybe, when you talk them about, talk with children's like equals, maybe it will even improve your relationship with your children's as well. But, when you talk about them as equals, like, okay, this is the problem. You want to do something. See, this is our problem. I want to do certain thing in a certain way. So both of you can sit and, always remember that children have to have a priority in expressing their opinions, because the way they can think and they can come up with is so I think innovative, I would say. And always research and innovation go hand in hand when you don't have much biases. And that's the another thing, like as the professor just now explained about that's the process you go through. I'm also going through that PhD process. To take certain topic, you go into the specific problem, and then you come up, so you have to prove something. But for children, you just, if you have that attitude, how can you one resource in multiple ways? And for parents, if you talk to your children as equals, as equals, it's not that, oh, I know, of course you know many things about it, but what children know that we don't know. Okay. And encourage them to ask question. I absolutely understand, even I am a parent, and I absolutely understand that it's not easy to answer all their questions. But they have to have that intrigued mind. If they question more, so even if you don't know for that time, you can say, okay, I'll look into it and I'll tell you, or let's research together. Let's go to Google. Then, you can teach them how to put a keyword, how to read something, how to even read faster. I think some of the courses, some Naidu sir also sometimes earlier told me that, reading faster and all that. These things you can sit with them. So in a way, if you encourage them to question everything, and I appeal to all the children, question everything, and parents, don't blame me if they question something random, but in a way they will that will develop them. Because if you don't question, how do you understand why this thing is like that? And if you understand, if something the reason of something being like that, then you can change it, you can mold it, or you can do something about it. If you don't understand, then it's very difficult. And then as even the professor just explained, like, don't try to put children into one mold. Okay, this is your territory, you should not think, talk, you are a child, don't talk about politics. No, maybe he might have some another view. Maybe if children want to talk about how maybe when you go to a supermarket nowadays, due to corona, no one's going, but go to supermarket, you can tell them, I'm just trying to encourage parents to take their children's opinion into the things they generally do, and they generally don't think that the children can give some advice on that. I'm not saying you have to listen to their advice, but at the same time, they may come up with some different perspective, and that this is how you can inculcate these habits, this critical thinking, and why you took certain decisions, what was the logic behind that. So in a way that will shape your children, and imagination is everything. It's more than knowledge. Whatever you can imagine, everything which is created, and everything which is you can see as innovation. If I can see this Bluetooth mouse, it was first created in the mind and then it came to reality. So everything in mind and imagination is everything. Yeah, so I would like to conclude my talk now.
Thank you, Ms. Shweta. I think it is wonderful, very short, very crisp, but very, there are lots of takeaways from this. So from what you have given us, we have got that research is a lot of keen observation, and everything we are using right now, has been invented at some time or the other. And all the children, and one needs to observe the cause and effect of any functionality of any object. And then this is a wonderful idea to encourage children to ask a lot of questions, because questioning is what brings out the best in you. So thank you, Ms. Shweta. I now hand it over to our chairman, sir, Mr. Ramanaidu, and he will be taking us further ahead on the same. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Good evening to all of you. Wish you a happy Friendship Day. I have very less time. Let me speak about a couple of minutes. I would like to speak as an extension of talk to Professor Afroz and also Shweta. We live in a world where we are all occupied with many of our works. In spite of our being busyness, I recommend and encourage my parents and teachers can spend quality amount of time the areas where we can really help our children to inculcate scientific skills or research skills. Those are very simple, as given by Shweta or Professor Afroz. These skills, you don't need to take out the book, do the research along with your children. Maybe you really need to give an opportunity how one can give a thought to it, right? So if you are cooking food at your home, you can involve your child and give a chance to child to discuss with you on different areas. Let me talk about what are all areas you can really give an opportunity to your child to really have a discussion with you or a dialogue with you. Maybe we'll start with observation skills, where child will observe how cooking can happen. The reason, as shared by Shweta, you can also give an opportunity to child talk about cause and effect. Once the child get an idea about particular topic, particular example, maybe you can give an opportunity to discuss about classification of those things. Classification is the one which will really give the child to dissect the topic into next level. Then we can really discuss about how particular topic can be measured, right? Any research or any idea, we should have ways and means to measure it and interpret it so that we can really bring it to some quality standards. Once child had skills of observation, classification, and then measuring it, the next thing is, most important thing is how we can make inferences out of it using conclusions. Those conclusions are the learning of the child out of this particular example. The simple example may be cooking the food. while he is concluding this learning, maybe he can take few predicaments, right? Predictions where, so he had some past knowledge of solids or liquids or fluid. So these topics, you can use it, how you can really conclude using observations, classifications, and also interpreting. Then he used his previous knowledge. Then all of us, all of us sitting for the dinner or lunch, give your child an opportunity to talk about it. That's, so you are trying to inculcate habit of communicating what really the child knows, what he really understood. Instead of judging the child while he presenting, encourage him, trying to support him the way you really got support from your own parents or your teacher. That is the way the child can really learn from all of you, and we are trying to give an opportunity to the child to improve his communication skills. Once he starts presenting, obviously he will go little beyond the topic. The topic can be, maybe he used different data, how much time mother took to cook the food. If mother took around 10 minutes of time to prepare dal, if I can I increase flame time so that I about reducing the time of cooking, or if I can use any other parameters, for example, soaking the rice or soaking the dal a couple of hours before will reduce. So we are trying to give an opportunity to child thinking about different variables. These variables will give the child to think not only about the concept, what are other factors influencing particular context or particular example. One child got this idea of controlling different variables. Now we can ask about how entire operations are happening from beginning to the end. This would give him the process of acquiring the knowledge of scientific skills, where he is following step-by-step sequence to really inculcate or develop his own research skills or thinking skills from his own kitchen, where mother and father are helping him to hone the skills of or manifest the skills of scientific skills. Once this is done, I really encourage and recommend our parents and teachers, give him to experiment the same thing on his own. Do not fear about he may fail, or your kitchen may spoil, or many other accidents may happen. It's fine. We learn from our failures a lot than from observing someone else. Once he starts experimenting it, then he will really learn. Even the child of grade 5, I am sure if you give an opportunity to cook the food, he will cook better than you, right? So, but only thing is, we really should have trust. Maybe you can guide him and tell him the process of doing it. There is a guided approach, or leave him for an hour in the kitchen by having an eye. Once he did this experimentation, I am sure child will come with some kind of inferences, what he learned of it. Maybe he recommend you to do better than what you are doing for the past decades or for the past few years. Maybe he will tell you many more new ways and means how a food can be prepared, right? So if every home can give an opportunity to our children day in, day out, without judging them, giving an opportunity without really worrying about wastage, failure, waste of your time, that would help the child to build his confidence, improve his conceptual understand skills and classification skills, inference skills, prediction skills, experimentation skills, communication skills, whatnot, you name it, your child would be having. Maybe day in, day out, we are all always worried, do the homework, do not watch the TV, do not run and jump, right? These are very common statements we always give it to our children. Maybe let us shift our process of thinking towards this area. That would help. This pandemic had given us many opportunities to work with our own children. We are really fortunate to have so much of time to spend with our own children. all of us cut down our traveling time. All of us got an opportunity to save the world with not having much pollution because of less traveling. But you take this an opportunity to spend quality amount of time with your own children. In fact, I have been doing it. I have seen great change in the way I handle my children, the way my children have been approaching with different problems. Once you really give us an opportunity, your children get habit of thinking, logical reasoning, problem solving, so that, as Shweta said, every problem is having solution in this world. Nature had given us opportunity to have a problem, to have a solution. These problems and solutions can be resolved with time and patience, right? When you really support your child, you can see wonders in your child, and really your child and you can help this world to have beautiful things around you, so that all of us have better things. I hope with these kind of new innovations, we may combat this present situation very soon. We all really discover and really come out of this pandemic very soon. So thank you very much. I have really thankful to Professor Afroz and Shweta, and also our principal and director. And I have, let me say special thanks to all our parents. They have been attending all a series of webinars without missing anyone. I'm really thankful to them for giving this support. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir. It's indeed a pleasure always to listen to you. So, dear parents, provide plenty of opportunities for your children, and don't forget to encourage them, be with them. And this is the right opportune time for you to spend some time and give your best. There was once a parent who approached me and told me that, ma'am, my son doesn't do anything. He's always playing with the Rubik's Cube. She came with that problem to me. So I said, okay, come. The child was also there with me. Incidentally, he came with the cube also in his hand. So I asked the child, okay, just solve it. Within, I think, less than a minute, he has done the whole thing. So I told him, how did you do it? So he said, ma'am, I have mentally made a note of, the steps I have to do. So I said, okay, how many steps you have got? So he says something around 40 odd steps, he told me. So I told the parent, your child has written 40 algorithms, okay, to solve this problem, right? So it is, you need to appreciate him for the ability he has got in doing this. So, dear parents, there are plenty of opportunities for us to appreciate children. And incidentally, the next assessment which we will be having in Rockwoods, it's already been planned even before this webinar was planned. We will be having children doing an investigatory project which will be multidisciplinary. And we will be taking our students through this process, explaining to them and making them present this. And I think this webinar has come as a blessing for all the students. And therefore, I told, that every student should be attending this particular webinar. It will help them a lot. So without much ado, I would hand it over to Subramaniam sir for the question answer session from the audience. Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I think I request all the participants, if you have any questions that you wanted to ask.
There are plenty of questions, sir.
Yes.
If you see, you scroll up initially,
yes.
There are quite a lot.
Yeah. So I request, if you have any questions, kindly go ahead and put it in the chat window. Or if you are watching this webinar through Facebook, please go ahead and put it in the comment section, so we'll take it up. Before I can take up the questions, I also have very small announcement. I have come across one of the leadership articles. These are written by Mr. Shanwaz Qasim sir, is an IPS officer. He also has spoken in one of our webinars about art of success, reinventing yourself during this pandemic, COVID-19, right? I found these articles were very thoughtful and very much useful, not just for me. I felt they are pretty much relevant to all parents, students, and any school leader, for that matter, any human being. So kindly take some time, kindly subscribe to this blog. I have already circulated this link in the chat window. If you want more details, kindly approach the PRM. We'll be able to share the details of the link and all that. So kindly take some time and subscribe to this blog, right? So now let me look at the questions. Okay, the first question is, I'm very happy to listen to this topic, interdisciplinary approach, which is the need of this time. But my question is, does Indian education system is equipped with the techniques and curriculum needed for interdisciplinary setup? Of course, we can follow at school level, but it cannot continue like Western countries, as we have arts, science, and commerce, and fixed curriculum. So the approach is fractured after grade 10th and cannot flourish afterwards. What are your comments? Maybe this question is to Afroz sir. Pretty valid.
Sir, are you there?
Dr. Afroz sir, are you there?
Yeah, I got it. Am I audible?
Yes,
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 sir, you are
sir.
audible, sir. You're loud and clear, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's
Subhi, could you please spotlight?
Yeah.
quite relevant. The idea is whether we are having enough support system to pursue the interdisciplinary learning. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes,
So it's all about that. You just heard that the Sweta
Yes,
was
sir. Yes.
saying, Sweta was saying that imagination. It's all about that. It's not about what resources do we have. The issue is what resources can we create. So problem is, if I am a solution oriented person, I will be able to find ways, mechanism through which our purpose of imparting interdisciplinary learning can be achieved. It's not about enough resources we are having. The second issue is that crisis. If we have a crisis, we will find a ways out. If you don't have a crisis, create one if you want to do something in your life. So the whole issue is interdisciplinary learning is how to take the methodologies of other disciplines, experiences of other disciplines, and integrate it with your own domain knowledge. And what the purpose does it serve? It purpose not it serves multiple purposes. The one is that you are preparing a generations who may fulfill the civic and cultural responsibilities in future. Not only that, you are trying to allow the student to become familiar with and the use of creative ideas from greater mind outside. So whatever great minds of other disciplines produced, if we are using the same methodology, we can add value to our life. Not only that, that interdisciplinary learning also strengthens your ability to communicate and work with others. You will not be standalone. So it's all about that. You first thing you should have in mind that the walls are artificials. The boundaries must collapse, and that boundaries that distinguishes one discipline with other disciplines should go away. That's not natural, and therefore we have to move across the disciplines more freely, and for that we have to be more liberal. For that we have to understand the ability of these students. Not only that, for example, that if you are doing it, then you are helping the student understand the impact of the science, the technology, and the medicine and that had produced on the society, and understand the future scientific needs of the society. So it's all about, similarly, whatever knowledge produced by the humanities may be of greater use for the science, for the so we have to work on those systems by changing the curriculum. You need to be innovative, you need to be creative, you need to understand the future course of education. You should not wait for an opportunity to be provided by any external element. So therefore, if there is a crisis, create opportunity to deal with it. So therefore, your ways of meeting with the crisis will serve the purpose and make the learning more relevant, more interesting, and to serve the needs of the student.
Yeah.
Very nice, sir.
Thank
Very
you,
well
thank
said.
you.
Yes.
Well said.
Professor, very well said.
And
Yes.
we have one more question, sir. Is there any research? I don't know if Sweta or you can answer. Is there any research regarding the exclusion or inclusion of disabled learners in citizenship education?
So I think this question also belongs to me.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
All right. You know that I am the director of the Center for the Exclusion and Inclusion. So therefore, idea is, first let me tell you that the first education is to prepare a student for civic values, and citizenship education is the most important, because the idea of citizenship is exclusive and inclusive both. And if we are able to, because if you are able to develop an exclusive sense of belonging amongst the student, then you are creating a divide. First, create a sense of belonging, that you are not excluded, you are very much a part in the citizenship framework, and each and equal opportunity will be provided to you. And therefore, you are a citizen. You are no more that you have a different needs, and your different needs, needs will be met with some special opportunity to you, so that there is a level filled. You cannot be denied and deprived of your entitles being as a citizen of the country, because there is a provision for you as a citizen to get the actual opportunity what the other, that is non-able people, are getting it. So these are the framework that let any person who is deprived of anything should not be deliberately deprived, but that deliberate deprivation should be in such a way it should benefit the most disadvantageous section of the society. If there is a differences, if there is a special treatment, that should go to the special section of the society who is deprived of. So the discriminations, deprivation should suits the marginalized, disadvantageous, disabled communities of the society. So citizenship should be inculcated. I personally feel it should be made compulsory for everyone, because that is what we are liking the most in contemporary time.
Thank you, sir. I think very well said. And we definitely look forward to our societies being more inclusive. And Subbi sir, we go over to the next question.
I think that's all what we have for today, ma'am.
Okay.
I just wanted to remind all the viewers that all our webinars are placed on our school Facebook page and also school YouTube channel. So kindly go ahead and find some time. And some of the participants were asking about the PPTs and all that. You can kindly approach your PRM. They will be able to arrange in case if you need any specific details from any one of the speaker that we had in the webinars. I think that would be all from Q&A, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Yes.
Professor Saab. Thank you, Sweta. with very short notice, you have given time for us, and really great learning from you. And maybe our teachers, our management team will try to implement your ideas and your suggestions in our day-to-day teaching learning process. We hope we do best to the students and to parents. Thank you.
Thank
you,
you.
Yeah,
Shweta.
thank you so
very
much.
much.
And it's great to share
Sir,
this online
special thanks to Sri Shanawaz Kassim sir. He arranged the guest within a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
Professor
was
sir.
on lunch and therefore offered this. That lunch you have to deliver
Due to
the
an emergency.
otherwise you are deprived of the lunch room.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's so nice of both of you, sir.
Thank you both. And
Sir,
I
Shanawaz
think
sir would like to speak to all of us for a minute.
Hello?
Sir.
So, you want to say something? I didn't hear.
Maybe Shanawaz sir is now co-host. If sir wanted to give any message, we really love to listen to him. Sir, are you there?
Good evening to all of you. It has been a pleasant experience to hear both of the speakers there. It was lovely. I was following.
Could you please spotlight?
But you excuse me for the simple reason that my two boys were after me. From the very morning, I have been with Professor Afroz discussing so many things. So these two boys were with me. I followed a little bit of this, but I will follow it on the YouTube and the Facebook. But I can tell you this is a very good idea to bring in role models who have done exceedingly well in their field or doing well to shape the mind of the young children. Actually, it's all depends upon what direction their mind takes. Actions will definitely follow. So what I am more happy to know is that Rockwood International School is going into that direction. Until unless we don't expose them to hundreds of flowers, and that was what interdisciplinary thing was there, and it was Professor Afroz thought that why not talk about interdisciplinary education policy is a buzzword nowadays. So we thought about it, and I should compliment Professor Afroz for coming out with this great idea of interdisciplinary talk. In fact, in a garden, there cannot be only roses or marigold or one flower. Hundreds of flowers should bloom in a garden. And that's what our mind is. So this is the age of interdisciplinary. Some day back, I was talking to a doctor in Delhi. He is a great person in artificial intelligence. He is predicting the outcome of the pandemic diseases in future. And let me tell you, these are the buzzwords nowadays. Go from one sector to another sector. You have a fresh perspective. In the same way, a doctor in a house does not treat his own children, as the saying goes, because he wants a fresh perspective. He doesn't want to have that biased or whatever he has learned. So a domain expert knowledge is good to build the foundation, but a solution is multidisciplinary. Like for instance, if a phone is made, it is not made only by engineers who knows IC circuit. It is made by those who knows fluid dynamics. It is made by those who knows electricity, capacitor, and then the hard casing, the front panel. So many parts are there in a cell phone. So all multidisciplinary approach to making a solution called cell phone or digital media is a perfect example I can give. No solution exists in isolation. No problem also exists in isolation. We have to bind both together to arrive at a solution. And this is the way through the mind of the child. Like you cannot tell them after 20 years when they have graduated to go and think liberally or in a broad way. Let us inculcate it from the very beginning. And I will also request, as the chairman has promised, please, my request is that include philosophy in an abridged form in whatever form. That would be one of the happiest moments for me. In fact, when I came first, the chairman has promised me that he will think over it. And I think it's time that I again request you to do the same.
Yes,
philosophy will expand your mind. I'm telling you,
yes,
you need not do anything.
We'd like to implement your suggestions.
You will be multidisciplinary.
It will serve
True, sir, very much true.
It will add value to the learning of the student if philosophy is introduced in a very creative, interesting, and story-based manner.
True, very much true. We agree with you. We have been planning for this along with our principal and directors. We do this year at least 1 or 2 topics from grade 6 to grade 10 students. We would like to implement philosophical topics and try to give a pathway to improve their philosophical thinking. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think,
Thank you again, speakers.
Yes, and it has
And
been
parents.
wonderful. Yes, it's been a wonderful evening, and we have many things which we are taking back with us. And most important being that, everything in the world is connected. And research is everything that we have in the nature. Okay, so, it is how we look at things, our perspective of observing, our perspective of classifying, sorting, and coming to conclusions are very, very important for all of us. And it has been a wonderful, very enriching experience for me and for, I'm sure, for all the others who are a part of this. A profound thanks to Professor as well as Ms. Shweta and our chairman and director for making this possible. Thank you very much. We end this day's webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.